in my 9 years here that I was a good guy on the street. I'm sure when Bruce get here, he'll tell you I was always a good guy. But I could have been a better Christian, and my commitment to change was to be a better Christian. I'm not a guy that has conflicts on the street. I don't expect to have any when I leave here, but I feel that I'm much better prepared. But more so from, I think, my commitment to being a better Christian, because I thought I was a good guy. I had some problems with fidelity in my life, but I've always been a guy that pretty much got along with everybody.
No one really knows how much we have been through this ordeal in the last 9 years. Excuse me. My experience with him is that he's like my best friend and my rock. And as a family, we recognize that he is not the perfect man, but he's clearly a man and a father who has done his best to behave in a way that speaks to his overall nature and character, which is always to be positive no matter what.
And I feel that 9.5 to 33 years was way too long. And I feel that it's time to give him a second chance. It's time for him to go home to his family, his friends. This is a good man. He made a mistake.
Back live outside the parole commissioner's hearing room, their vote was 4-0. They deliberated for a very brief time. Again, this was in essence a foregone conclusion. We do not expect the parole commissioners to make themselves available to the news media. They stated their reasons on the record. It was carried live, and they're going to leave it at that. It is possible that we may hear from O.J Simpson, Bruce Fromong, and other Simpson friends and associates at the prison, which is about 100 miles from here. As you heard O.J. Simpson, he portrayed himself as a nice guy, a giving guy, a friendly guy. He was apologetic, he was remorseful, said he made a mistake, but that he's not a guy who got into conflicts. Of course, those who believe he was acquitted of a double murder that he committed back in 1994 may have a much different view of O.J. Simpson. Live in Carson City, I'm Phil Schuman. Marla, Bob.
Hey, Phil, you're out there with countless other reporters. What was the feeling like? Did you get a sense of it in terms of how much anticipation for the commissioners to come back?
Well, I think everybody was following along with the legal arguments and expected this decision, so there wasn't really a lot of surprise. I mean, people were really interested in listening to O.J. He spoke for about 27 minutes, describing himself and all the things that he's learned about himself, the alternative violence program, how he was the commissioner of the softball league, how he was sort of a prison elder that all the men in there looked up to. And that was some insight into O.J. Simpson that we haven't really gotten before. That was really interesting to listen to.
Yeah, and the sort of the lightheartedness of parts of that hearing that we heard there, all of the chuckling there, and then mixed with emotion when you have O.J. Simpson there sort of breaking down in tears and also portraying them as someone who's been through a difficult time as well.
Right. Yeah, when she said it's hard to imagine what we've gone through, I mean, everybody here was flashing back on the same thing. What about Nicole Simpson's family? What about Ron Goldman's family? Again, he was acquitted by a jury, but talking about O.J. Simpson's family as being victims here was something we hadn't heard before.
Wow. All right, Bill Schuman, who covered the case back then as well, now continuing covering O.J. Simpson here as he is now going to be released from prison in October.